Welcome to the part 6 of this video series. We are covering Azure DP900 Data Fundamentals Important Exam Questions. These questions come with detailed explanations where each and every option is decoded and a right answer is arrived at. Please focus on the explanations because that is the key to successfully pass the exam. Please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Now let's jump to the questions. For questions 1 to 55, please refer parts 1 to 5 of this video series. Now let's scan through the options. So here we have to mark if these statements are true or false, yes or no. In the exam, you will get the same format and you will have to mark yes or no. The first option says Azure SQL database includes a fully managed backup service. This is true. So you can remember this statement holds true for Azure SQL database as well as SQL managed database and Synapse Analytics. All of these have a fully managed backup service, so you don't have to explicitly or manually take backups. Now, where are the backups taken? The backups are put in blob storage in Azure. Now, these backups are designed for disaster recovery. If, suppose example, you have a SQL database on Azure and if it fails, so if you want to restore to the point till when you were working on it last time, so that restoration is possible from the backup that this service was taking automatically. So for example, if you are shopping on Amazon, you just booked a pen and that time there is a disaster. So now when there is a recovery happening, you don't want to lose that data of this customer who booked a pen. So you want the data to be available right at the point where the disaster happened. So this is possible using the backup services. It is possible because the backups are transactional consistent. So one thing you should remember is this backup recovery from the backup is not possible on premises. You can only recover in the Azure environment. So the answer is yes. Let's scan the next option. Azure SQL database has built-in high availability, which is very true. See, this service provides minimum of 99.99% SLA. That means this is the percentage of time when your system will be up. Okay, and that is very critical because Azure maintains this on a SLA basis. If there is a breach, suppose if there is a downtime of more than say 40 hours, 50 hours in a year, then Azure would refund some money in terms of compute services or direct refund. Now consider a scenario when you have to patch the databases. Okay, now Azure patches the database automatically. You don't have to do it manually. But during that time, you as a customer would not even come to know that some sort of patching is going on. Or take another example where the hardware, the underlying hardware is faulty, and Azure themselves are replacing that hardware. So you will be, diverted to a different hardware, but you as a customer won't come to know, and for you the services would be highly available. So the answer in this case would be yes. Let's move to the third option. Azure SQL database can use ATP, which is very true. Now we should remember that not only Azure SQL database but Synapse Analytics and SQL Managed instances also use ATP. Now what can be ATP? For example, suppose you have a database. Suppose take Amazon.com, and there's a huge database and there are different databases. Okay, but the amount of data it is storing is huge because it is servicing customers across the globe. Now what happens is someone wants to play around with this, and they want to impact the business of Amazon. So they try doing SQL injections. What it means is they constantly fire large volume SQL queries, and they want to get they want this to hit the databases. Now these are all anomalous activities. That is one. Second is, we can try to overload the infrastructure, instead of if Amazon is designed that so that it can handle concurrency of 1 million customers. Suppose concurrency means 1 million customers across the globe are using Amazon.com at the same time. Okay, that is concurrency. And if that was the design and infrastructure capacity, and you as a hacker, or you are not a good person and you want to hack these systems, you try to overload the infrastructure by spawning multiple threads. So you will take this 1 million to 10 million, you would do it through robotic programs and try to crash the infrastructure, because the infrastructure cannot handle more than 1 million, and you are spawning 3 million, 4 million, or 10 million threads, and you try to do that. In order to protect your system from those SQL injections and such things, ATP is very handy, and ATP should be always supported by the databases. So in this case, SQL database, managed SQL instance, and Azure Synapse Analytics, they have this support inbuilt. Okay, and this is because it provides good security. It will avoid SQL injections being directed to the SQL databases directly. So these three are all falling in the yes category. Now let's move to the next question. I have already marked the answers here. So for the first option says you can use Data Studio to query big SQL server, which is correct. No, see, using Data Studio, you can write queries. It is just like a query editor. You can write queries and you can fire it against a database. Now, these databases can also be on Azure or can be on premises also. Data Studio works with both. Okay. Now, Data Studio also works with Mac OS, Windows, and Linux platforms. It can also have a source control integration, where suppose you want to do a version controlling of your source code using something like a Visual Source Safe or any other tool which is capable of doing version control. That is also possible through Data Studio. So this answer is right. The next option suggests to use SSMS to query Synapse Analytics. Yes, SSMS can be used to query Synapse Analytics. Now, the primary purpose of SSMS is to configure and manage the databases, and you can also access the databases. That is the primary purpose. Okay, and that's why if you want to fire a query on Synapse, this is doable. Now, there were a lot of talks if Data Studio would replace SSMS, but Data Studio still has some drawbacks, and it cannot fully replace SSMS. So second option is also correct. We marked it as yes. Third option suggests that we use MySQL Workbench to query Azure SQL database for Maria databases. Now, Maria database, see, it is a type of MySQL database. So it is a RDBMS database, and if you know SQL Workbench, it is similar to Data Studio. We use MySQL Workbench with multiple databases, and if you want to, you install it on your laptop or desktops, and then you can access Azure databases for Maria databases, for MySQL databases. You can fire queries, write your own code, and etc. That is possible. So this answer is yes. Let's go to the next question. Now, the first statement suggests that PaaS offerings has built-in high availability. Yes, so like we saw in our previous question, okay, your Azure SQL database, that is an example of PaaS, and PaaS has built-in high availability because there are two examples I gave. One was for the patch installation and upgrade, so that is done automatically by Azure. and you don't even come to know as a customer, because for you the system is available, it is highly available. And the second scenario is if there is a hardware failure, the underlying hardware fails, but that scenario also you as a customer would not get impacted, because Azure will maintain their SLA of minimum 99.99% availability. They would fix the hardware, but till the time the hardware is getting fixed, they would route to you to the different hardware or different server maybe, but you won't come to know the difference. There will be no downtime for you. So first statement is correct. And the second option suggests that you PaaS gives you configurable scaling options. So PaaS database is just like Azure SQL database, and it gives you configurable scaling options. Like, if you want, today you have this database, and you are a startup company, and you anticipated that your customer base will increase by say 500 customers a month. But suddenly, after a month, you see there is a huge spike. Instead of the growth being 500 per month, the growth is happening at the rate of 10,000 per month. Now you want your database to handle that capacity. So what you can do is, there is a dynamic provision. You can scale up your database, you can add more hardware to it, you can do that. But there will be minimum downtime, and there will be a switch over period. Okay, so when you do that, there will be a switch over period, and if you want that your customers do not get to see this switch over period, it's very short period, maybe in seconds, or maybe in 1 minute of that time range. And if you don't want your customers to feel that, your whatever applications, suppose you have a website, and that website is accessing this database, you can ask your front end developer, or the middleware services, or the middle layer services developer, to put a retry logic. So what will happen is, if there was a switch happening and someone was trying to query it, it will not give you an error. It will again query it after a few seconds, and that is how the retry logic works. So your customer would never feel the pinch of this switchover. So this option is also yes. Now, PaaS offerings, does it reduce the overhead of managing your hardware? Yes. Like I gave the example in Azure SQL database, if there is an underlying hardware failure, so you don't have to spend any time with that kind of administration. You don't have to manage the hardware. That will be taken care by Azure automatically. Okay, so that is significantly reducing your administrative overhead. How it is reducing? Now suppose you were on premises, and you are sitting in front of the server, and there is a hardware failure. Now what will you have to do? You as an admin will have to connect with the procurement services, procure a new hardware, take a quotation, get all those formal approvals from your organization to to put in the inventory, invoicing, and etc. Now after that, the procurement will happen. You will put the hardware, you will install it, and etc. And if you want to do a failover, you will have to do it manually. So this entire administrative effort is drastically reduced, because Azure does that for you automatically, and that's the advantage of coming on cloud. So this question will have three options, and all three are yes. Now let's see this question. It's a very easy one. If you are from a database background, it's a very easy one. Now in this case, dbo.products, it is asking what is this. So if you see the insert statement, I'm just iterating for people who are not from the database background. We always do this: insert into table, and then you have the fields here, and then you have the values that you want to put against each of those fields. So in this case, dbo.products, what is this? It's not a column, a database, a table, an index. What is it? It is a table. Like I told, the syntax always goes insert into table. So dbo.products is a table, and product name, this is a field. So here it's a column. So these are the right answers. I got this question in the exam, exact the same question, but it was really silly, because it's a no-brainer. But this is a fundamental exam, so they will ask few fundamental questions as well. Now let's move to the next question. So here you must apply patches to Azure SQL databases regularly. Like I explained in my previous question, Azure SQL Database is an example of PaaS, and PaaS does the patch application itself. You don't have to apply patches regularly. It takes care of patch upgradation and etc. itself. So you as a customer are immune to it. You don't come to know that a patch is happening now because this database maintains high availability. So here the answer is no. Now the second question says you need Microsoft 365 subscription to create Azure SQL database. No, you just need to create an Azure account, and using that you would be that is sufficient enough to create Azure SQL database. So this is also no. The third one says you can use existing SQL Server licenses to reduce the cost of Azure SQL databases. Yes, you can do that. So the only problem is you will have to do that installation on the VM, or you can save your licensing costs. You can move those licenses to Azure SQL database. Azure provides you that option as well. Okay, so this is yes. So this is the final answer for this question. Let's move to the next question, the last question for this video. The transparent data encryption. It encrypts what? What does it encrypt? Does it encrypt a column to protect data at rest and in transit? Does it encrypt the queries and the results to protect data in transit? Does it encrypt the database to protect data at rest? Does it encrypt the server to protect data at rest? No, see, TD, it's a thumb rule I would suggest is it is used to encrypt data at rest. It encrypts the entire database. It will not encrypt parts of your database. For example, just one table or just one column in your table. It won't do that way. That's why first option is wrong. It is just saying that it will just encrypt a column. No. And the second thing is this is only used to encrypt data at rest, not for transit. For transit we use TLS protocols. So this option suggests you use it for rest as well as for transit. That's why this is wrong. The server, then the other one says you encrypt the server to protect the data at rest. You do not encrypt the entire server because that server may have database as well as some other web services components or front end components and some other components, Excel sheet, etc. It won't encrypt everything. It only works at the database level. So this option is correct. The database, it will encrypt the database to protect data at rest. Okay, it will not encrypt your queries and their results to protect data in transit. So this is totally wrong because this is not used for data in transit. So our final answer is option 3. This is our final answer. This brings us to the end of this video. Please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. If this video is really helping you out, please drop in your comments. That keeps me motivated to put in more such contents. See you in the next part of this video series. Till then, bye.